She came home with another man's cologne on her skin. I just smiled and disappeared. But a year later, she found me crying, shaking, begging for help and said I was in danger. I thought it was guilt until someone left photos of me taken through my cabin window. She came home with another man's cologne on her skin and smiled like nothing happened. I think that was the exact moment my soul cracked. Her name was Rachel. And for 5 years, she was my entire damn world. We weren't perfect, nobody is, but I thought we were real. Solid. Built on something. But you never really know someone until you catch them lying with their eyes wide open. It was late. I'd flown in early from a business trip, landed just before midnight. I wanted to surprise her. I even picked up her favorite takeout Thai food, extra spring rolls. The smell of it used to make her sprint to the kitchen barefoot like a kid. Dumb, right? I pulled into the driveway. Lights were off. Good, I thought. She's asleep. I'll wake her up with dinner, kisses, maybe more. But when I opened the front door, I froze. Her heels were by the door, but not alone. Next to them? A pair of men's dress shoes. Black. Size 11, maybe 12. Worn. My chest started thudding so hard I thought I was gonna pass out. I put the bag down. Quietly. Every step down that hallway felt like a war drum in my ears. The bedroom door was cracked. And inside? Laughter. Hers. A man's voice murmuring something. I don't remember breathing. I only remember the sound of the zipper. Her voice low, teasing. His laughing. Then silence. Then a thud. I didn't kick the door open. I didn't scream. I backed away. Calm. Numb. Like I wasn't even in my own body anymore. I grabbed my keys. And left. That was the last time I ever stood in my own house. I didn't tell her I saw. I didn't leave a note. I didn't pack a bag. I drove. 4 hours. Slept in the car somewhere in Colorado. Then kept driving. When I finally stopped, it was a cabin. Small. Cold. In the middle of nowhere. I didn't care. I bought it with savings I'd been sitting on for years. A month later, I filed for divorce using a lawyer I met in a bar. Rachel? She didn't even try to call me for the first 2 weeks. She just thought I ghosted her during a fight or something. Eventually, I sent a typed letter with one line. I know everything. Do not contact me. And that was it. I disappeared. New number. No social media. No mutual friends. Gone. Until exactly 1 year later. I'd just gotten back from chopping firewood when I saw her. Standing on the porch. Hair longer. Eyes red. Holding a photograph of us. And crying. Let me back up. The year in the cabin wasn't peaceful. It was hell. The kind of hell where you replay conversations in your head 1,000 times and wonder how blind you must have been. Rachel had been pulling away for months before it happened. The late nights at work. The fake smiles. The way she flinched when I touched her shoulder in bed. One time I surprised her at her office with lunch. She wasn't there. Her assistant said she was on site, but she never mentioned it. Another time I found a receipt for a hotel bar 2 cities over. When I asked about it, she said it was from a client meeting, but the charge was for 2 cocktails and a shared dessert. She hated dessert and cocktails, but she loved lying when it was convenient. I never confronted her. I didn't want to see her lie to my face. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of a scene. I wanted her to live with the silence. I imagined her confused at first, then annoyed, then scared. She tried to reach out through my brother, my friend, even my old boss, but I told everyone the same thing. She doesn't exist to me anymore. So why did she show up? Why now? She didn't say anything for the first 5 minutes. Just stood there shaking. Then she handed me the photograph. It was from our honeymoon. Me lifting her in the ocean. Both of us laughing like idiots. I ruined everything, she said. Voice so raw I barely recognized it. I know you hate me. I hate me too. But I had to see you. I had to say I'm sorry. And ask if there's any part of you left that could forgive me. I didn't say a word. I just stared at her like I was looking at a ghost. Because that's exactly what she was to me. A ghost of the woman I once loved. I didn't let her in. I just stood in the doorway, hand on the frame, as the wind picked up behind her. Her eyes searched mine like she was looking for the man she used to know. The one who brought her coffee in bed every Sunday. The one who spent 3 weeks building her a bookshelf she never once used. He wasn't home anymore. What do you want, Rachel? I asked. Her voice cracked. I need you to hear me out. Please. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. You've got 5 minutes. She launched into this emotional monologue about how she made a mistake, how lonely she felt, how work consumed her. How he, the guy from the bar, wasn't anything. Just a distraction. A regret. A moment of weakness. I stopped her cold. You saw me cook dinner that night. You looked me in the eye and still went out. And you came home with his smell on your skin. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Don't rewrite what happened, I told her. You didn't trip and fall into a hotel bed. Then she said something that caught me completely off guard. I didn't know you were following me that night. The blood drained from my face. I never told her I followed her. Never told anyone. I was that careful. How do you know that? I asked, narrowing my eyes. She hesitated, then pulled out my old work phone, the one I threw in her back seat that night. She'd found it. She'd seen the location tracker app still running in the background. You dropped this in my car. I didn't notice until weeks later. When I opened it, I realized you must have been there. At the bar. The hotel. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. You knew I saw you. And you still didn't call. You let me walk away. She broke down right there on the porch. But I didn't flinch. Because suddenly I realized something. This wasn't just guilt. This was fear. She wasn't just here for closure. She wanted something. What do you want, Rachel? I asked again. This time sharper. Louder. She hesitated, then reached into her coat and pulled out a manila envelope. I didn't take it. She set it on the porch railing between us. It's everything. Bank statements. Credit card charges. Emails. Proof it's over with him. Proof I've been clean. I even started therapy. I didn't move. You think receipts undo what you did? No, she said softly. But maybe they show I'm not the same person. Maybe they show I'm trying. I picked up the envelope and froze. There was a document sticking out the side. A transaction. She'd wired $12,000 to a private bank account. Not before the affair. Last month. You said it was over, I said slowly, holding up the page. She paled. It is. That wasn't look, I know how it looks, but don't. My voice was cold now. You came here to lie again? No, she said quickly. That wasn't him. That was something else. Please, let me explain. But I was already walking back to the door. I'd seen enough. I'm not interested in the cleaned-up version of your betrayal, I said without looking back. You had your chance to come clean a year ago. You chose silence. And here's the thing. I could hear her crying as I shut the door. But I didn't feel anything. No pity. No sadness. Just this numbness that confirmed everything I already knew. She didn't come to make peace. She came to reclaim something. And I had the sinking feeling that this story wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because 2 days later, someone started watching my cabin. Same car spot and time. Every single night. The first night I thought it was a coincidence. The second night? I knew it wasn't. Same gray sedan. Parked half a block from my cabin, engine off. Headlights killed the second I stepped outside. No movement. No plates I could read from my porch. It was like something out of a low-budget thriller. But this was my life now. On night 3, I finally walked out with a flashlight and pointed it straight at the windshield. The car peeled off. Fast. Too fast for just a curious neighbor or lost tourist. I stood there in the cold, heart pounding. I couldn't explain it, but I felt something in my gut shift. This wasn't over her missing me. This wasn't about closure. Rachel had stirred something up, and whatever it was, it followed her to my doorstep. The next morning I drove into town, straight to the library. Public Wi-Fi. No digital trace. I searched the bank listed in the envelope she left. That $12,000 wire? It went to a private holding account. Offshore. The owner? Unlisted. But the transfer description? Settlement 3B / legal counsel. What the hell was she into? That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark with a cup of black coffee and the sound of the wind howling against the trees. And around 1:00 a.m. it came back. The car. This time I didn't go out. This time I turned off every light and moved to the back of the house. Waited. Watched. And at exactly 1:17 a.m. the silhouette of a man stepped out. He didn't come to the porch. He walked up to my firewood stack and set down a small cardboard box. Then he got back in the car. And vanished. I waited 10 minutes before I moved. Opened the front door. Walked to the woodpile. It wasn't a bomb. Wasn't ticking. Just a shoebox. Wrapped in plain brown paper. Inside? A small stack of photos. Of me. Walking in the woods. At the store. Getting gas. The cabin. One was from the back window. Of me inside, drinking coffee at the kitchen counter. I dropped the box like it was on fire. My heart hammered so loud I could hear the blood in my ears. Someone had been following me. For weeks. Maybe longer. I didn't call the cops. I knew better. No cameras. No plates. No witnesses. This wasn't about a crime. Not yet. This was a warning. But for what? I texted Rachel. I didn't want to. I hated myself for doing it. But I needed answers. Who did you pay $12,000 to? Don't lie. No response. Then 2 hours later, 3 messages came in at once. You need to leave that place. Now. Please trust me. It's not what you think. I never wanted you involved. Involved in what? I didn't respond. and packed a bag. And before dawn I hit the road. But I made a mistake. I thought driving would buy me distance. I thought ditching my phone and credit cards would cover my tracks. But when I pulled into a rundown roadside motel 120 miles south, there was a letter waiting for me at the front desk. The clerk handed it to me casually, said a woman dropped it off an hour before I arrived. It was addressed to me, in Rachel's handwriting. And inside? Just 6 words. You're in danger. Please come home. I didn't sleep that night. I laid on the creaky motel bed with the letter on the nightstand, staring at the ceiling like it held the answers. You're in danger. Please come home. What home? She burned it the night she let another man kiss her under the same roof I used to dream about growing old with her in. Now she wanted me to come back? I almost laughed, but the fear in her handwriting, that wasn't for show. Something had her panicked. I left the motel before sunrise and drove another hour south. No GPS or phone, just instinct and gas station coffee. Then I parked behind an abandoned diner off Highway 31 and waited. I needed to think, really think. I took the photos from the box and laid them across the dashboard. They weren't random. They were precise. They tracked me over time. They tracked patterns. Someone had been surveilling me like I was the one with secrets. And then I remembered something. One of the photos wasn't of me. It was of her, Rachel, from months ago, outside a courthouse, looking over her shoulder. What the hell was she involved in? I caved, powered on my backup burner phone. I had one saved number, her number. I texted just 3 words. I want the truth. She called me instantly. Didn't even say hello. Just, are you safe? No, I said flatly. You need to tell me everything. Now. There was silence. Then the dam broke. The man you saw me with that night, she said, his name is Vincent DeMarco. She paused. Real name? Vincent Morelli. That hit me like a brick. Wait, Morelli is in it. Yeah, that Morelli. East Coast family. Runs consulting firms as a front. I nearly dropped the phone. You were involved with the mob? No, she snapped, then softened. Not at first. He was charming, rich, connected. I thought he was just an exec. When I tried to break it off, he said I owed him. That he'd invested in me. And then things escalated. She took a shaky breath. He threatened to tell you about the affair. Then threatened worse. Said if I ever went to the police or disappeared, he'd come after you. That explained the photos. That explained the $12,000 transfer. She didn't wire him money to keep the affair alive. She paid him to keep me alive. Why didn't you just tell me this before? I asked, my voice rising. Because I thought I could handle it. I thought I could keep him at bay. But then I saw you again and he must have followed me. Now he thinks you're a threat. I clenched my fist around the phone. So you dragged him back into my life. After everything. I didn't mean to, she whispered. I missed you. And I thought. You thought what? That we could fix this with wine and old photos while some psychopath watches me from the woods. She went quiet. Then said something I didn't expect. He thinks you have something. I froze. What? Vincent. He said you stole something from him. Something I hid before I left. My blood went cold. I don't even know what you're talking about, I said. But my mind was racing. Because suddenly, I remembered the envelope. The one Rachel left on my porch. I never opened the bottom half. Never looked at the USB drive taped to the last page. I need that drive, she said urgently. He's coming for it. For you. He'll hurt anyone in the way. I looked over at my glove box. I still don't believe you, I said. But I opened the glove box anyway. And stared at the drive. Then I heard it. A knock on my car window. I turned. It wasn't her or a stranger. It was my old friend Mark. The one who introduced me to Rachel in the first place. Get in, he said urgently. They're already here. Mark looked like he hadn't slept in days. Hoodie, beard grown out, eyes darting around like a man being hunted. He slid into my passenger seat and locked the doors without saying a word. I held up the flash drive. You knew about this? He nodded. That's why I'm here? I stared at him. You were at our wedding. You toasted us. What the hell is going on, Mark? He didn't look at me. He looked past me. Out the windshield. Then finally said it. Rachel played both of us. My grip on the drive tightened. What are you talking about? I was working with her, he said. 3 years ago. Before the affair. Before any of this started. I helped her bury data from her company. Stuff that should have gone to the feds. My stomach dropped. He continued. She funneled money. Covered up bribes. Moved things under fake consulting fees. Her job? The big promotion? That wasn't clean, man. My ears were ringing. You helped her. I didn't know the full scope. I thought it was just corporate gray zone stuff. Then I found out who was on the other end of some of those accounts. He looked right at me. DeMarco. The guy you saw her with. She didn't fall into that affair. She offered herself to him. To buy silence. To avoid exposure. Silence slammed into the car like a train. She sold herself to cover her tracks. She never made a mistake. She made a deal. I opened my mouth, but Mark cut me off. That drive you're holding? It's not just financials. It's audio, text threads, names, timestamps. It links DeMarco and Rachel to 3 dirty politicians and a murder investigation in Newark. My hands started to shake. And she left it with me? I said. Mark looked grim. She didn't mean to. What? She wasn't supposed to give it to you. She gave it to me. Told me to hide it. I made a copy. I swapped it. And she never knew. I was spiraling. She came to my cabin. Cried. Begged. Told me she wanted to fix things. She's trying to survive, Mark said. DeMarco found out she kept insurance. That she didn't fully delete everything. He thinks you have it now. And if he gets it before the feds do. Mark didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Then he said something that hit harder than anything else. She never stopped using you. Even now. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. Every word she said. Every apology. Every tear. A script. And I fell for it again. I started the engine. We need to go. Mark nodded. Where? Someplace public. And I'm going to find out who else is lying to me. We pulled onto the freeway. Halfway to the city. And then my phone lit up. Unknown number. A photo. Of Rachel. Tied to a chair. Mouth taped. Eyes swollen. Caption said. Bring the drive alone. 3 a.m. You have 1 shot. Mark read it over my shoulder. She's bait. We drove in silence. Until I made a decision. A cold one. If I go, I said, I'm not saving her. Mark nodded slowly. What are you doing? I looked at the flash drive. And said, I'm ending this. 3 a.m. The warehouse was exactly where the text said it'd be. A rotting structure on the edge of the industrial district, wrapped in shadows and busted fences. You could smell rust, smoke, and old blood in the air. I parked 3 blocks away. Took nothing but the flash drive. Not even my phone. No cops. No backup. Just me. And a plan. I walked into the warehouse through a side door that creaked like death. The place was pitch black except for a row of hanging lights flickering above a folding chair. Rachel was tied to it. Gagged. Shaking. Her eyes locked on mine the second I entered. And I knew what she wanted me to see. Fear. But I wasn't sure it was real anymore. A man stepped out from the shadows. Not DeMarco. Someone else. Mid-40s. Suit. Scar on his cheek. Hands behind his back like he was hosting a twisted dinner party. You brought it? He asked calmly. I nodded. Held up the flash drive. Put it on the ground. Then stepped back. I crouched slowly, set it down. Then stepped back. Smart man, he said. Shame you had to get involved. He walked to the drive, picked it up, and smiled. That's when the second man stepped out. And that's when I realized. I'd seen him before. At my wedding. It was Rachel's cousin. Her so-called quiet, harmless cousin from up north. He nodded at me like this was just business. Like he hadn't orchestrated a year of psychological hell. Then the man with the scar pulled out a gun. Not aimed at me. Aimed at Rachel. She gave you the wrong one, he said to her, voice cold. You always were stupid. Rachel started screaming through the tape, shaking her head violently. And I watched. Did nothing. Because in that moment, I realized she really did try to play both sides. She used them the way she used me. And it backfired. Hard. He cocked the hammer, pointed the gun at her chest. That's when I stepped forward. He paused. You want to die for her? He asked. I shook my head. I want to bury you. And that's when everything flipped. Lights exploded. Doors slammed open. Feds. Guns drawn. Yelling. Within seconds, the man with the scar was face down on the concrete. Cuffed. Rachel's cousin tried to run. Didn't make it 2 feet. A female agent ran past me and tackled him. Another grabbed the gun. Someone cut Rachel loose. She collapsed. I just stood there. Frozen. Mark walked in behind the feds. Looked at me. Nodded. Drive you gave me, he said. Was enough to trigger the warrants. I passed it off. You bought us time. I stared at him. You used me. He shrugged. Everyone did. We just picked the right guy to finally say no. Rachel was sobbing on the floor. I didn't go to her. A medic wrapped a blanket around her. She looked up at me. Whispered something I'll never forget. Do you still love me? I turned. Walked away.